Hello, everyone. It's Constance Miller, and this is the very first live stream for Redinson Productions. And oh my gosh, I was not really honestly prepared to do this. Um, I had thought about doing live streams previously, and it just never really came to fruition. And so I had thought about it today, and I thought, well, why not? Why not? So, um, with all that being said, um, I'm looking around for something to wet my whistle with, and well, I do have a little bit of, excuse me, Mountain Dew left. Pardon. I, excuse me. I wasn't sure that my channel was equipped to do live streams because I only have so few subscribers. So I guess we're going to see how this goes. I have a topic at hand, and I put this under the Film Geek Maniac moniker, as this has to do with film. And the inspiration for this video comes from another YouTuber by the name of Matt Baum. And he does amazing videos with primarily queer content. And one of his most recent videos was about the movie Rope. Um, and it's a movie I had never heard of. So I watched his video and I found the context of it to be really, really fascinating. So I wanted to see the movie, and I couldn't find it on any streaming platforms, so I purchased it on Amazon, and then I was able to watch it, and it turned out to be fascinating. So I wanted to kind of run down and give you all a little bit of my take on this film and some of the history behind it. Now, Rope is a movie by Alfred Hitchcock, so you can already tell that it's going to be full of suspense, it's going to be a little thrilling, and it's going to have some surprises. However, it starts out basically with a murder, and the whole context of the film is all about how the killers try to get away with this murder, with being that the body is held in the room where all these people converge and socialize and have pretty wild discussions about society and moral issues and the like. Now, this is 1948 when this movie was released. So, for the time, I think the subtext of the movie, it was definitely an issue. And if you're watching it for the first time in 2023, you're going to see these things and you're going to go, oh my gosh, that is so obvious. But back then, it had to be played down tremendously. And there were certain things that the film got away with that was pretty surprising. And overall, the film wasn't very well received, and it's not one that is high up on the list as far as Hitchcock's best works. But it doesn't mean it's not a good film. It is. It's a really good film, actually. And partially because of the way it was shot. Hitchcock wanted to make it seem like the whole movie was essentially four continuous shots. And if you're in the know of the movie making business, to film an entire scene in one take is really, really difficult, no matter how long the scene is. So if you're going to take, say, a 40-minute movie and you have four takes that are 10 minutes apiece, that is an extremely difficult thing to do. And also, on top of this, this was Hitchcock's first film in color. So the cameras were a lot different. They were humongous. I mean, bigger than a refrigerator. So there were challenges about moving the camera along sets, rearranging set pieces and actors and scenery and props and all that kind of stuff. And then behind the scenes, you had the content of the film. The film was based on a play that was written in 1929 in Europe, and it had a lot of homosexual context to it. Now, that had to be erased, it had to be eliminated for the film adaptation. And it turned out that Hume Cronin, who is also a very well known actor and has since passed, was hired on to adapt the play. And then Arthur Lawrence was hired to write the screenplay. Now, Lawrence himself was a gay man. So, putting in the context of homosexuality into something like this was hard enough because of the time. And there were lots of rewrites. There was somebody else coming in, putting content back in, and things got slashed, and then other things ignored. So that's eventually created what we see on film today, which is still very homosexual. And the two leads in the film both dabbled in bisexuality. One of them eventually living out a majority of the latter years of his life in a relationship with a man. So, all that being said, we have a murder right off the bat. And the two leads who perpetrated the murder hide the body in its antique chest and then decide to throw a party. And the guests of the party include the victim's father, the victim's aunts, the victim's girlfriend, the victim's friend, who is also friends with the two leads, and the victim's mentor, who happened to mentor the two leads as well. Wow. Pretty intense, if you ask me. And then throw in the fact that there's a housekeeper who is trying her best to get everything arranged the way that she would like things to be arranged, and throw into the mix a very, very, very sadistic aspect to this film. The party is initially supposed to be set up at a dining room table. Well, the one main character, Brandon, decides that it would be better if all the food was served on the empty chest in which the body was put into. Ouch. Creepy, gross. Yeah. So the whole time, the entire cast is divvying out food off this antique chest where there's a dead body inside. And And everybody in the room practically knows the victim. And they are wondering why in the world the victim is not present at this party. And that is all a part of the game that Brandon is basically relishing in. And it's up to the mentor, played by James Stewart, uh, to basically kind of figure things out. And he incited a philosophy to these young students that's due to wealth and societal privilege and education, that it would be possible for people of that norm to murder people of lesser norms and have it be okay. And it's a philosophy that is very controversial and disturbing. And he puts a very intellectual spin on it, and it's discussed in the movie. So that is the basis on which Brandon and his friend slash lover Philip perpetrated the murder to begin with. So as the movie goes on, things get a little bit disturbing as far as the conversation, and the victim's father is like, I'm done having this conversation. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Where is my son? Why hasn't he shown up yet? And the victim's fiance, well, girlfriend slash fiance, um, it turns out that she had a previous relationship with Brandon and also one of the other guests, Kenneth, before having a relationship with the victim. And she's concerned that the victim isn't there either. And then it goes on, and as the party winds down, the housekeeper is taking apart the setup on the antique chest, and it's almost revealed that there's a body in there. Tense, tense, tense situation. Oh my gosh. So everybody essentially leaves, and Brandon and Philip think they've gotten away with everything. And it was only a matter of what to do with the body now that everybody's gone. And the phone rings, and Philip at this point has been a wreck. He has been freaking out the entire movie and has basically been almost willing to expose himself and Brandon for doing what they've done. The phone rings, and it's Rupert, the mentor. He forgot his cigarette case and wants to come back up to retrieve it. So Philip is freaking out. And Brandon's like, don't worry, I've got this. And Rupert comes up, and there's this wonderful, wonderful cat and mouse sort of dialogue between Rupert and Brandon about allegations of what's gone on and insinuation and all that kind of wonderful good stuff. The writing on this is so good. And eventually it gets to the point where Rupert discovers the body. And there's a lot of intense dialogue, and the movie culminates in Rupert's drawing attention to the police, and the movie ends with the three of them just casually sitting and waiting for what is inevitable. With all the gay subtext that is in this film, I'm really surprised it was released, even to by today's standards. Like if I just watched it for the first time, and I thought, wow, I can't believe they got away with that. That is so awesome. The acting is immense. Um, it, it Jimmy Stewart is phenomenal, regardless, and Robert Dahl, and oh, I can't think of the guy that plays Philip. Ah, dang it. Um, he was tremendously good, regardless. Um, and the setup was so great, and little bits of highbrow humor, and there was a lot of like subtle intensity that was thrown into this. It was just so good. So with all that being said, this was a really, really good viewing experience. And then learning how the movie was shot, um, realizing that there's a panoramic window in the main room of the apartment that basically goes from light to dark, has different lighting effects and cloud effects that seem so realistic. So the set design was really amazing as well. And then you kind of you kind of get the payoff of the murderers being caught, but you don't get the payoff of seeing what happens to them. Like, what sort of sentence did they get? Um, so that's kind of like, I kind of wish I would have known, but therein lies a part of great storytelling, I think. Leaving something to the imagination, since the first thing we see in the film is the actual murder. Yeah. So I'm going to tie this off, I think, at this point. I'm excited to start doing live streams. And um, this is going to be an interesting aspect of the channel, I hope. And yeah, so thank you for watching. Well, nobody's actually watched live, but if you've come, excuse me, come to this video, do you know that, excuse me, there are going to be future live streams. So keep that in mind. Hit like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below if you would like. If you've seen this movie, if not, would you be interested in seeing it? I highly recommend it. It's amazing on so many levels. So I've got to figure out where I'm going to hit to stop this. And until then, love and light to you all.